Chapter 266, Blue Silver Domain's Final Evolution, All Rivers Run into the Sea, TL by Babelson. Seeing his parents both surprised and disbelieving expressions, Tang San sternly said, Dad, Mom, listen. I originally didn't dare be certain either, but resurrecting Xiao Wu has let me realize a lot of the mysteries of spirit cultivation, and even spirit beast cultivation. If I'm not mistaken, Dad, in the years you've kept Mom company, you've definitely eaten a lot of medicinal ingredients. Tang Hao nodded. Those were all found for me by your mother, with the effect of banking up my fundamentals, adding in that my physical condition was originally quite good. Even the injuries from severing an arm and a leg have already completely healed, and my spirit power has returned to rank 79. Tang San said. Back then, in order to repay the sect, you severed 2 limbs, and released the sludge in your blood, and at the same time also returned those 2 spirit bones. Your spirit power was also forcibly reduced by 20 ranks due to losing the spirit bones. But in fact, you still have your 9th spirit ring, just that you can't use your last 2 spirit rings due to the lack of spirit power to support them. Right, Tang Hao said. That's right. But, can severed limbs even be restored? Tang San said confidently. Why not? The blue silver emperor right leg bone ability Mum gave me, while the burns without end, the spring wind breathes new life. Even though it can't bring the dead to life or grow flesh from just bone, it's still enough to regrow severed limbs. After my spirit power reached rank 90, this spirit bone ability can be fully used. With my mental strength, it's completely possible to not just use this ability on myself, but also on others. As long as we bring back those 2 spirit bones you contracted with, I'm at least 80% sure I can regrow your limbs. At that time, with an intact body, you can recover to your peak before long through cultivation. After all, even though a portion of your spirit power is lost, the painstaking cultivation back then wouldn't be wasted. After your limbs are restored and meridians whole, I think, within 1 year, you could still be the clear sky Douluo who made spirit whole lose their goal at the sound of the wind. Tang San's words undoubtedly lit a flame of hope in Tang Hao's heart, but his shiny gaze very soon dulled. Shaking his head, he sighed. Little San, did you forget? I returned those 2 spirit bones to atone for my sins, putting aside that it would be impossible for the sect to return them to me. Even you can't gain their true approval right now. Tang San gave a cold snort. Dad, back then when you killed the spirit hole people to save Mother, did you do anything wrong? That tragedy was because they coveted Mother's spirit ring. Spirit hole then took their anger out on you, but the sect not only didn't come to your aid, instead gutlessly choosing to retreat. Who was right and wrong? I'm a junior. I can't criticize grandfather's decision. Only, can our clear sky school really escape calamity by blindly withdrawing? I've never thought you did anything wrong back then. If those sect elders won't give us their approval, then I'll just beat it out of them. Always in the past, due to his father's matters and his own encounter with the clear sky school, Tang San had never had any good impression of them. Otherwise he wouldn't have established the Tang Sect alone. When faced with difficulties, the clear sky school not only didn't protect their own, but on the contrary chose to retreat far away, separating from the spirit master world, leading to the tragedy of the 4 single attribute plans and the clear sky school being stricken from the list of the 7 great sects, only able to stand on their lonely mountaintop. Tang San didn't have enough strength before, and could only endure, but now he had already become a titled Douluo, and also grasped a divine tool like the sea god trident. He'd already endured long enough. Those 2 spirit bones should belong to his father, and his father should at least be an elder within the sect. What his father had lost, he had to return for him. Seeing his son radiate aggressiveness, though Tang Hao's face was calm, the gratitude in his eyes was clear to see. You're becoming more and more like me back then. Only, back then I was just impulsive, while you've been clever since you were a child. But, little San, whether me or you, we're both born of the clear sky school. Our clear sky hammers are inherited from the sect. No matter when, we absolutely can't betray the sect. This is the bottom line, understand? Tang San watched his father with a burning gaze, his eyes expressing respect. Dad, I understand your meaning. I'm not talking about betraying the sect. I know you wouldn't want to see that. Therefore, I will accompany you to return justly and fairly, and have every person in the sect acknowledge your position. Look, what's this? While speaking, Tang San's palm brushed the 24 moonlit bridges, and in his palm appeared a small golden hammer, a black gem inlaid on either end. Seeing this hammer, Tang Hao couldn't keep his eyes from shining. Suddenly growing excited, he suddenly grabbed the hammer from Tang San's hand. Little San, hurry up and tell me, where did you get it? Tang San said. Great-grandfather gave it to me. Great-grandfather not only gave me this token, but at the same time also the authority that comes with it. I told great-grandfather about everything that's happened in detail, and great-grandfather didn't blame you. Even he said you were right. What did you do wrong? Grandfather really didn't blame me. Tang Hao asked in a trembling voice. This kind of Iron Man's mood surged to rapidly, clearly showing how important he regarded the sect. Tang San nodded firmly. Dad, great-grandfather said it himself. Tang Hao tightly held the golden hammer, his eyes suddenly shining with unprecedented light. He roared towards the sky, the intensity making even Tang San take a step back. This roar seemed to contain all the resentment held in Tang Hao's heart. Tang San saw correctly. A yin was undoubtedly number 1 in Tang Hao's heart, but his loyalty to the sect that had raised him from childhood and given him the name Clear Sky had never waned. The previous sect master was his father, and whether his father had done right or wrong, Tang Hao had never returned to argue it. But at this moment, the strongest of the Clear Sky school, his grandfather had confirmed he didn't make a mistake. To Tang Hao, this approval was even more important than the return of his strength. Back then he had become dispirited, but now listening to Tang San, the flames of hope reignited within him. He seemed to again see those glories when he represented the Clear Sky school. Tang San said, Dad, once I've helped Mom recover her human form, we'll return to the Clear Sky school to get everything you deserve. Tang Hao returned to his senses, returning that golden little hammer back to Tang San. This is the authority your great-grandfather gave you. You have to care for it well. Little San, you're really sure you can restore your mom's shape? There's absolutely no danger. Tang San said. Don't worry, even if I'm not absolutely sure of success, my methods will be beneficial to Mom. Even if I can't restore Mom right now, I can definitely enormously cut down the time required. Little San. The whole time listening silently to her husband and son, a yin spoke up. Illusory light sparkled, her beautiful face filled with motherly tenderness. You can help me recover, but Mom has a request. When you help me recover, there absolutely can't be any harm to you. Otherwise, I'd prefer to continue like this forever. While your father has kept me company here these years, he has told me everything about how you've grown up. You are a good, sensible child. Did you know, both your father and me feel that we deeply owe you. We brought you into this world, but we've never fulfilled our duties as parents. You didn't even have a happy childhood. Mom is already very sorry. If you let yourself be harmed when helping me, Mom would never be able to forgive myself. No. Mom, don't say anything. Tang San fell to his knees in front of his mother. Yes, when I was small, I was envious when I saw the other children who had mothers. I thirsted for your love, but it's not your fault you couldn't be with me and Dad. Parents never owe their children, no matter when or how. That you brought me into this world is already the biggest favor, one I'll never be able to repay in my life. Without you, there would be no me. My life was given by you. There are no other debts beside that. Mom, don't worry. Helping you recover won't harm me. I still have to properly show my filial respect to you both afterwards, and I still have Xiao Wu to take care of. How could I not treasure myself? Our family can finally be happy together. I don't want to put a time limit on this. Listening to Tang San, Ayin really want to cry, but she couldn't produce tears yet. Tang Hao helped Tang San up. Don't talk like that. You'll make us hurt even more. Tang San nodded, raising his head to look at his mother. Then I'll begin now. Mom, you just have to open your mind wide, sense the energy I transmit to you, and blend it with all the energy around you. While he spoke, blue golden light flashed. Tang San released his blue silver emperor, and at the same time also released his blue silver domain. The blood red 7th spirit ring flashed. To be precise, this was now the second of Tang San's currently 4 spirit rings. The golden blue color spread all over his body, and Tang San entered his spirit avatar state. In that instant, under the effect of the blue silver avatar, the blue silver domain expanded exponentially, quickly spreading out and enveloping his parents and Xiaowu, enveloping the entire ice and fire yin-yang well basin, then crossing the mountain walls, spreading out into the sunset forest beyond. On his forehead, the sea god trident brand flashed, his boundless mental strength completely blending into the blue-silver domain, strand after strand of golden blue-silver emperor issuing from Tang San, quietly twisting around a yin's leaves. Each of a yin's broad leaves was tightly wound around by one of Tang San's blue-silver emperor. Tang San flew up, hovering just above his mother, the strands of blue-silver emperor like a bridge connecting the two of them together. A yin softly cried out, "Little San, your blue-silver domain is already at the peak level." Tang San nodded lightly in the air. "Mum, pay attention to absorbing the energy I send you." The blue-silver domain suddenly changed, the previous golden blue suddenly turning completely ocean blue. In just this instant, the parts of the sunset forest enveloped by the blue-silver domain had turned into a blue ocean. Within the forest, each blue-silver grass gently swayed along with a special rhythm, scattering faint traces of gentle golden light that merged into that blue world, and then gathered towards the ice and fire yin-yang well at the heart of the forest. To be precise, it condensed towards the emperor of this blue-silver world, Tang San. Blue-silver domain, final evolved ability, all river running to the sea, launched. Along with his strength rising to the tidal Douluo level, Tang San's blue-silver domain had also evolved once again. If the spirit avatar was where a domain displayed its true strength, then the strength of tidal Douluo was the essential factor for a domain to reveal its highest level. Rich blue light gently poured into a yin through where the blue-silver emperor connected her with Tang San. After passing Tang San's gathering and filtering, this energy had already become the purest blue-silver emperor energy. Their similar bloodlet mother and son share energy without any obstruction. The blue-silver domain's all rivers run into the sea. Effects: anywhere with blue-silver grass, the domain can change the vitality of the blue-silver grass into any form of energy the blue-silver emperor requires, and add it to oneself. As long as there is still blue-silver grass, the blue-silver emperor's energy will never wane. This energy can change into vitality, but also spirit power or mental power. This ultimate domain effect can undoubtedly place the blue-silver emperor in an invincible position when fighting opponents of equal level in a forest. And at this moment, Tang San was drawing support from this ability to transform the energy of all the blue-silver grass in the forest into blue-silver emperor energy, then using himself as intermediary to transfer it to his mother, raising her cultivation. Such a method could also only be used between mother and son, and also required Tang San to take the leading position, unless a yin's strength one day surpassed his. In the sunset forest, all the spirit beasts restlessly hid in their nests, the infinite energy waves making them not dare move. With the enormous energy spreading through the entire forest, the lowest level blue-silver grass for the first time became the masters of the great forest. Summoned by the blue-silver emperor, they released the breath of their life without reservation. Nourished by that blue light, a yin's body grew exponentially. Each leaf began to grow as transparent as sapphire, the golden veins on top also becoming increasingly large. She could clearly feel her cultivation grow at an unprecedented rate. A yin originally had 100,000 years of experience with cultivating, and naturally knew what to do with this perfectly suitable energy, and could also do it appropriately. Only, her heart was somewhat restless. She of course understood the blue-silver domain's all rivers run into the sea ability. She had possessed it herself back before she decided to take human form. She absolutely didn't want to see her people consume too much of their vitality in order to resurrect her. But the leader was Tang San. She could only passively accept it, and she was even more unwilling to harm her son's heart. Tang San seemed to understand his mother's heart. What he did next let a yin put her heart at rest. His right hand moved. That dark sea god trident stabbed into the earth fell into Tang San's palm. The sea god's light once again becoming the bridge between Tang San and this golden trident. Dazzling golden light rose towards the sky. The divine aura representing the sea god's strength spreading out along with the blue-silver domain. Like a vast ocean restoring life to all living things spread to each corner of the blue-silver domain, enveloping the entire sunset forest. The vitality of the blue-silver grass already withering from releasing too much of their life force was reignited within the sea god's power assigned to the sea god trident. And Tang San's blue-silver domain had now become completely golden. To be precise, what he used now should be called the sea god blue-silver domain. A domain like this might not have any true use in battle, but it had enormous benefits to the blue-silver grass that absorbed the energy. The sea god's light alone could swiftly recover a yin's cultivation, let alone when it was conducted into the blue-silver emperor energy like this. This was also Tang San's trump card for resurrecting his mother. It was because of the existence of the sea god trident that he didn't need to worry about the blue-silver domain's all rivers running to the sea harming the blue-silver grass here. It was also just because of the sea god's divine power that he was even more certain of being able to help his mother recover her human form. Sensing the effect the sea god's light had on all the blue-silver grass, a yin was relieved, and put all her heart and all her mind into absorbing the pure energy her son passed to her. The ice and fire yin-yang well basin were originally a place that gathered the spiritual influence of heaven and earth. A yin had been nourished here for 5 years, and her root as blue-silver emperor had already reawakened. The major difference between plant-type spirit beasts and animal spirit beasts was vitality. Even forest kings as strong as Deming and Erming couldn't compare to the blue-silver emperor in vitality. This was also how a yin could leave behind a seed after sacrificing herself. While Xiaowu, Deming and Erming had immediately faced death, Tang San using his own blood to draw out his mother's roots here back then, and an important effect on a yin's rebirth. Just because he had taken the octagonal mysterious ice grass and infernal delicate apricot, his blood had brought a yin the greatest benefits by the ice and fire yin-yang well, and she could absorb the spiritual influence of heaven and earth released by the ice and fire yin-yang well without worrying. Even without Tang San's present help, she could have returned to her previous condition within 100 years. Now with Tang San drawing in all the blue-silver grass energy in the sunset forest enormously accelerated her recovery. In fact, what Tang San did now was equivalent to Tang San pouring the cultivation of all the blue-silver grass in the sunset forest into his mother's body, and he didn't want to kill the chicken for the eggs either. His blue-silver domain cooperated with the sea god's light, enormously increasing the cultivation of each blue-silver grass in the forest. And what Tang San absorbed from them was just a portion of their cultivation. The cultivation of a single blue-silver grass of course didn't count as anything, but the cultivation of 10 million blue-silver grass added together was vast. A yin grew with a speed distinguishable to the naked eye. Soon, the enormous leaves had grown to encompass every part of the ice and fire yin-yang well basin. Tang San also constantly released strand after strand of blue-silver emperor to connect with it. Tang Hao and Xiaowu watched nervously from the side. They could both sense a yin's energy swiftly rising, and Tang Hao now also understood why his son could say with certainty that, even if he didn't succeed in resurrecting a yin, all this would definitely only be beneficial to his mother. He drew this kind of blue-silver grass energy into her body, increasing her cultivation. Even if a yin couldn't recover her human form, the recovery time would still be enormously curtailed. Tang San's sea god's light held up for a full 2 hours. After the strength flagged and the blue light vanished, Tang San fell from the sky, sitting cross-legged next to his mother, directly entering cultivation. His mental strength was almost completely exhausted, but not yet overdrawn. A yin had undergone enormous changes in these 2 hours. The blue-silver emperor main stem had grown by several dozen times, and each leaf spread through the valley, along with Tang San entering cultivation. Her aura also grew silent. Even though the energy she received didn't require any melding to become hers, she still had to adjust to her new state. In just a couple of hours, a yin's cultivation had increased by more than 20,000 years. The blue-silver grass made up for quality with quantity, and Tang San's unprecedented hub-like transmission, relying on the blue-silver domain's ultimate ability with the sea god's divine power to condense the golden light. It had completely reached the effect Tang San wanted. Tang San used a full 2 days to recover his mental strength. Over the next 10 days, he repeatedly used the same method 4 times to condense blue-silver emperor energy for his mother. With the help of the sea god's light, the blue-silver grass in the sunset forest offered up inexhaustible energy, until the blue-silver emperor energy a yin had was completely equal to Tang San's level, and couldn't be transmitted any longer. After finishing the last energy transmission, Tang San once again entered cultivation. Right now a yin had already undergone heaven and earth revolving changes. The enormous leaves no longer spread out, but were instead completely gathered together, each leaf not only possessing enormous blue silver emperor energy, but also a portion of the aura of the sea god's light. The leaves had now turned completely golden, forming a 10-meter wide cocoon. Piercing golden light flared, a yin's body containing enormous energy fluctuations. Having experienced similar circumstances, Xiaowu told Tang Hao that these were signs of a spirit beast reaching 100,000 years. When a yin broke out of her cocoon, she would again have returned to the 100,000-year level. At the same time, while in this cocoon formed from her own body and energy, she also had the chance to make a choice, either become human, or stay as a formidable 100,000-year spirit beast. There was no doubt as to how a yin would choose. She had already experienced cultivating as a human, and even Xiaowu couldn't tell what she would be like after breaking out. After all, it was the first time she had seen anyone like a yin, who had twice cultivated to 100,000 years. Tang San awakened from cultivation after 2 days. In these dozen days, he had constantly used up and restored his mental strength, and it felt as if his mental strength had become even a bit more solid. The golden cocoon still flashed with faint light. Nobody knew how long this evolution would take. Tang Hao sat waiting in front of the cocoon, his eyes from time to time glistening with anxiety. Even though he'd already waited for so long, and by all reason his wife should have a chance to very soon recover to her former state, the more this was the case, the more intense his impatience grew. Watching that golden cocoon, he couldn't wait to see his beloved wife again. As soon as Tang San opened his yes, he saw Xiaowu sitting close by. Her big black eyes blinked and looked at him, her long eyelashes curling, her long hair falling down her shoulders to the ground, like a black waterfall. Xiaowu. If his parents hadn't been here, Tang San would have wanted to directly show his affection. Xiaowu happily said, "Ge, you're awake." It had been almost a month since they came here. In the gaps between where Tang San helped his mother recover, he and Xiaowu had buried Deming and Ming's bodies on the other side of the ice and fire yin-yang well. Even though she knew it was impossible, Xiaowu secretly still hoped the spiritual influence here could give the two forest kings a slim chance for resurrection. After talking to Tang San and his parents, Xiaowu's mood was already much better. Even though the pain in her heart still remained, she didn't want Tang San to see her unhappy. Xiaowu cutely jumped into Tang San's arms, her long black hair hiding the two like a veil. Xiaowu softly said, "Ge, do you know when Mum can wake up?" Tang San shook his head. "Even you don't know, and I know even less. But since there's enough energy and Mum has already experienced breaking through 100,000 years, it shouldn't be too long." Xiaowu said, "Ge, let's go for a walk, okay? There's a lot of spirit beasts in this sunset forest. Maybe we can find some that suits you. Your blue silver emperor really is bald and ugly with 4 spirit rings left." Tang San's heart twitched. "Xiaowu, I still haven't asked you. What level is your spirit power now? Even though your body and soul were separated these past years, you did still take 2 great immortal great herbs. Especially that yearning heartbroken red was enormously effective. Even if your cultivation isn't more than mine, relying on this immortal herb your physical toughness isn't less than mine." Xiaowu smiled slightly. "I don't know what rank my spirit power is either. I'm at a bottleneck right now. The 70th rank bottleneck. When I went from 100,000 year spirit beast cultivation to human, the first 6 spirit rings didn't require hunting spirit beasts. But by the 70th rank I really am human. And with the effect of those 2 immortal great herbs, I've become human a bit early. Now I also need to hunt spirit beasts for spirit rings. I feel like my spirit power shouldn't stop at rank 70, but I can't tell how much more either." Tang San pulled Xiaowu up, skillfully pulling out a sandalwood comb from his 24 moonlit bridges, speaking to her while combing her jet black hair. "Then we'll go strolling in the sunset forest. With your current physical condition, absorbing a 100,000 year spirit ring might be a bit dangerous, and finding one isn't too likely either. But 50 or 60,000 year spirit beasts spirit rings shouldn't be a problem. Once you have a spirit avatar, your defensive abilities will be even stronger. Unfortunately, I don't have any god-bestowed spirit rings on hand." Xiaowu said. "Since my soul and body were separated, I only have 1 trial, and all the rewards are superimposed. I can get them once you've completed the Sea God 9 trials. Right now you still lack more than 10 spirit rings and a spirit bone for the 8th trial. Mom is just evolving. Let's go search here. If there are any suitable spirit rings, we can finish the 8th trial sooner." Tang San rubbed Xiaowu's head. He of course knew that Xiaowu was saying this because he had lost 5 spirit rings to resurrect her. As a former spirit beast, she least liked seeing spirit masters hunt spirit beasts. While combing Xiaowu's hair, Tang San said to her, "Xiaowu, I promise you that all the spirit beasts I kill will be those especially wicked ones, the kind that take the initiative to attack me, and I absolutely won't kill more than needed. Okay?" Xiaowu nodded slightly. Her back was to Tang San, but the rims of her eyes were already red. Deming and Ming were dead. In this world Tang San was her only family. Tang San's thoughts for her, his love for her, imperceptibly dissolved to grief in her heart. After a while, a neat scorpion braid was already completed. Even tied up in a braid, Xiaowu's hair almost reached the ground. Xiaowu's eyes were no longer red. Turning around, she smiled sweetly at Tang San. "Let's tell Dad and go." Tang San nodded. Leading along Xiaowu's soft little hand, they went up to Tang Hao. Tang Hao's gaze was always fixed on the giant golden cocoon. "I heard you talking. Go. Pay attention to your safety." Tang San promised, and pulled out the nearby sea god trident. Saying goodbye to his father, they flew up and over the mountaintop, arriving in the sunset forest. Their feet planted firmly on the ground, the 2 held hands and walked into the forest. Tang San wasn't in any hurry to hunt spirit beasts. This was his first time walking with Xiaowu in the woods after her resurrection, and he didn't want to break this pleasurable mood by killing. Xiaowu's heart was interlinked with Tang San, gently following him. Their figures slowly entered the dense forest. Before they had gone far, Xiaowu suddenly halted and looked at Tang San, softly calling out, "G-E-N." Tang San also halted, looking at her. "Kiss me? Okay." Xiaowu's face was red, but she still shyly spoke. Tang San only felt hot blood rush to the top of his head, his gaze so hot his eyes almost spit flames. There were no parents here, and the feelings held in his heart could no longer be restrained. Almost roughly pulling Xiaowu into his embrace, his invading lips constantly fell on Xiaowu's forehead, the hair by her temples, brushing her face like a soft breeze, and finally, stopped on her tender pink lips. A warm sensation as soft as silk, a fragrance like a quiet orchid, seemed to instantly swallow Tang San's soul. Xiaowu's arms twisted around Tang San's neck, responding somewhat unskillfully. This moment, tears rolled down both their faces practically simultaneously. They had experienced so many storms, separated by life and death, but they could finally be together. This kiss seemed like it would last until the end of time, until the seas ran dry and the rock went soft. Neither wanted to separate. This was still a pure kiss, without involving any lust, only a dense, almost substantial love. An unknown amount of time later, suddenly, a connection with his soul roused Tang San from the love, pulling Xiaowu's soft body to swiftly move sideways. A smear of black light flitted past where he stood before, and at the same time that black light spread out, chasing after Tang San and Xiaowu. Those were sharp black needles, with a rich dark aura. Tang San brought Xiaowu to quickly change places in midair several times, but they still chased after without giving up. The tyrannical energy fluctuations made the air crackle, and where it passed, an acrid smell rose from the ground. This was the pit demon spider's piercing needle ability. Confronting this kind of attack, Tang San didn't know if he should laugh or cry, but at the same time also felt angry at him and Xiaowu being interrupted. After he and Xiaowu entered the forest, because they were lost in love, they hadn't showed their presence, their auras reserved, and had instead provoked a spirit beast attack. This eyeless fellow was still a pit demon spider with quite the cultivation. There was no reason not to accept the gift delivered, and even Xiaowu's face now flashed with anger. Provoking Xiaowu's anger only had one result. Having just advanced 1,000 hands Douluo, Tang San would directly transform into 1,000 hands Asura.